Hello, friends. Welcome to Block Bytes. Every time we see a decentralized crypto company go bankrupt, there is a lot of hue and cry made about regulations. People start to ask why the governments are dragging their feet when it comes to regulating this speculative space. But why do we need centralized regulations to control decentralized lending? It is important to understand that every single instance of a crypto company going bust was because it behaved like a centralized entity with ulterior motives to generate more and more profits by stealing from unsuspecting retail users. Can we have a decentralized alternative to centralized and governmental regulations? This is a question to which I never found a satisfactory answer. Until now, Vitalik Buterin, along with ex-Coinbase CTO Balaji Srinivasan, and centralized exchanges like Coinbase, Kraken, and Binance, recently came out with a thought paper addressing this very question. In this video, we will go through this paper. The paper starts by providing what exactly it attempts to address. Rather than relying solely on fiat methods like government licenses, auditors, and examining the corporate governance and the background of the individuals running the exchanges could create cryptographic proofs that show that the funds they hold on-chain are enough to cover their liabilities to their users. In other words, it talks not only about proof of reserves, but also proof of liabilities and how cryptographic proofs can be used to safely and privately provide this information. It takes it a little bit ahead and says, even more ambitiously, an exchange could build a system where it can't withdraw a depositor's funds at all without their permission. So not only does an exchange provide a cryptographic proof of its liabilities and assets, but it also cannot steal customer funds. And in other words, it becomes non-custodial. This is exactly the need of the hour. With this framework in mind, the paper goes on to grade exchanges on a spectrum ranging from don't be evil on one end and can't be evil on the other hand. Don't be evil is another way of representing centralized exchanges, in which the only true protection against a FTX-style breach of customer trust lies in the moral compass of its leadership. Can't be evil, on the other hand, means what it says. This is the true decentralized end of the range, where there is no dependency on any moral compass, but only on code. So what exactly are we trying to solve here? The paper calls it proof of solvency. Proof of solvency is equal to proof of liabilities and proof of assets. Proof of liabilities is a proof that customers' deposits equals X. And proof of assets means that ownership of private keys of X coins. If you can do this for any exchange, it will be clear if it has the funds to pay back its customers or not. Proving proof of deposits. According to the paper, the easiest way to do this is by publishing a list of username and balance pairs, where each username is a customer with its deposits shown in the balance. But obviously, this is not very private, as both the name and the balance are in the open for anyone to view. To add privacy, you could use the cryptographic hash function to modify the list a little bit. But even this is not completely private. So the next level could be to use something called a Merkle sum tree instead. Although better than the hash, there is still a slight possibility of some privacy leakage. This is where ZK or zero knowledge proofs come in. Adding a ZK snark on top of the Merkle sum tree will prevent the leaks, making the entire exercise completely private. This is something the exchanges can try to implement in order to create a non-leaky proof of liabilities or deposits. Proof of assets. Let's look at how they can generate a proof of assets. To hold assets, you need wallets, and wallets have addresses. So the simplest way to show you or the exchange have the assets and the wallets is to simply move X coins around in a predetermined fashion or in a transaction that says these funds belong to Coinbase. But there are two big issues with this approach. First, dealing with cold storage. Exchanges usually have all their funds on an air-gapped set of computers. Air-gapping refers to a computer or a set of computers that are physically disconnected or within their own separate network. On top of that, moving assets require multiple steps and authorizations. In such a secure setup, making extra movements to assets can be an expensive operation. But there are ways in which this can be handled. First, an exchange can create a few random addresses, prove that they own these once, and then they can move their funds around forever. Second, an exchange can create many addresses, prove only a few randomly, and then use these. Exchanges are doing this manually at the moment with the help of an auditor. But this can also be automated. Third, exchanges can also try to add zero-knowledge proofs to add privacy and avoid revealing its entire address set. Second, collateral dual use. Collateral dual use between different exchanges can be addressed by fixing a time slot or schedule between exchanges for proving reserves. For instance, something like this. Proving reserves at 1400 UTC every Monday. So now that we have some direction on how exchanges can build a mechanism around proving both liabilities and assets, what if we want to take it one step ahead and make centralized exchanges non-custodial? In other words, prevent the likelihood of exchanges stealing your funds. The one way this paper suggests approaching this issue is to use Validium, which is basically a ZK rollup, except that where the data is kept off-chain. In such an implementation, it will be impossible to steal funds. So it appears that there is a range of solutions that exchanges can look at in this respect. Depending on what they choose to implement, exchanges can be ranked on the don't be evil and can't be evil spectrum, starting with fully centralized exchanges with no control whatsoever, aka FTX, or the next in line external human controls like auditing, as we've seen. The next set of exchanges could be the ones with proof of solvency implemented, however, which means that they cannot be insolvent. Fourth would be the non-custodial type of CEX, and the fifth being the entirely decentralized exchange. It is important to understand that on the path towards becoming decentralized, exchanges will also lose the ability to restore stolen or lost funds. If you lose your funds kept on Binance or Coinbase today, it can be restored back as it is the exchange that controls the assets. One way to address this issue is to help users transition to self-custody, augmented by technologies like multi-signature verification and social recovery wallets, which is one area in which work is still going on. The future will have exchanges falling in all these different categories on the scale. The challenge for exchanges is to become non-custodial and also present a valid proof of solvency by using one of these valid technical mechanisms. The onus is now on the exchanges to take the appropriate actions and front-run government regulations or be forced to comply with centralized regulations forever. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you liked it. See you next time with another fresh bite. Bye.